Hello, and welcome back to the art room, my third grade friends. It's good to see you again. All right, this is Mrs. O'Neill, your art teacher here, okay? Ready to dive in to another fun project together. All right, so first we're going to talk a little bit about art vocabulary. You might be thinking vocabulary. Yes, vocabulary, okay? But this is fun vocabulary. This is the kind of vocabulary that you can feel very fancy, pinkies out, and impress your friends with, okay? So, our art vocabulary for the day. I'm sure you've already heard of landscape, right? You're like, oh, I know what landscape is. I've heard about that before, all right? But have you heard of Seascape and Cityscape? Well, today we're going to make a work of art that shows all three and helps you kind of remember keeping your brain, all right? That's the sound of keeping something in your brain, all right? Keep in your brain, okay, which vocab word goes with what kind of picture, okay? So I'm going to help you make this fabulous work of art today, all right? We're going to make a landscape, all right? A seascape, and a cityscape. So I'm sure some of you are already connecting in your brains. You're like, oh, that makes sense. So I knew a landscape was a picture of land, all right? A seascape looks like a picture of the ocean. Yes, you'd be correct. And the cityscape is a picture of a city. Yes, indeed, you're right. And I love these vocab words because they're pretty easy to kind of keep in your brain because it has the word right before scape, right? Land, scape. Sea, scape. City, scape. There you go. All right. So one of my favorites. It's a classic. So what you're going to do now is you're going to need to get your piece of paper. All right. Get your piece of paper out. Get a pencil out, and let's go to work. Okay. So I'm going to use the whiteboard up here to show you how to do this. All right. You're going to use your paper. I'm going to start by. All right, so take your pencil. This is my box. See this box up here? This box on my whiteboard is going to be my paper, okay? So just pretend with me that that's a piece of paper. All right, take your pencil, all right, and draw a line. Go ahead and draw a line right down the middle of your paper, just like that. Boop. Just like that. Split that paper in half. Doesn't have to be perfect, right? Don't stress over the small stuff. We don't sweat the small stuff in the art room, right? So if it's not a perfect line, whatever, do your best. Just do you, all right? That's okay. You got this, all right? So that line down the middle, there you go. Get something that you're like, I can deal with that. I like that. All right, next we're going to go across just on one side. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to start here. I'm going to go whoop, and stop right there. So now I've got three sections of the paper. I've got a big part and then two smaller parts, all right? Awesome. Next, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my vocab words up in the top of each box so I can remember which is going to be which, okay? So I'm going to start by writing the word landscape up here in this box. L-A-N-D-S-C-A-P-E. Landscape. All right, and if you're like, oh, Ms. O'Neill, you're going too fast. The good news is, my friend, is that this is on video, so you can pause it, you can rewind it, you can watch this as many times as you need to. All right, so no worries there, no worries. I got you. I just don't want the videos to be about like an hour long, right? So if I pause too long, it would take a while for the video. So you can just pause the video and play it when you're ready to, when you're back with us, okay? So we got the word landscape at the top. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put Seascape down here in this box down here. S-E-A-S-C-A-P-E. Seascape. Perfect. All right, one last one. I'm going to go ahead and write the word Cityscape up at the top of this box. C-I-T-Y-S-C-A-P-E. Cityscape. Bam. All right, so I've labeled my boxes. Now on to the drawing part, the fun part. All right, get excited. So the first thing that I usually teach is I usually start with the landscape. So let's go ahead and get that landscape started. I'm going to use different colors so you can see the lines a little bit better, okay? In each different box. All right, let's start with this landscape box. I'm going to start up here with my pencil. That's going to be one hill. Goes to the bottom of the box. And then we'll start over on that hill that I just drew and go, oh, that's another hill. You got this. Those hills are looking great. Good job. All right. Next, I'm going to go in between these two hills and go, whoop, a line going across. And bam, all I did was use 3 lines, and look, I've got some hills. Bam! All right, one going from here to here, one from here to here, and one from here to here. Bam! I got this. Those hills are looking great. Yes. All right, then because we live close to the mountains, so I always like to add mountains in my landscape just because I'm like, we live near the mountains. Ah, did you know that? It's awesome. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start up here and go up and then down. I usually like to put 2 in there. Up and then down. All right, and then some people like to do that line that separates the snow at the top of the mountain, right, down from the bottom of the mountain. What I always tell you is my neat trick, okay? Don't be that person that takes the line and they go, and they just do a straight line across. That's not how snow works, all right? None of that. This is what you got to do, okay? Watch this, all right? You're going to take your pencil at the top of this mountain that you just drawn, do a very squiggly, and this is a time when it's very good for your line to be all kind of jagged there, all right? Do a nice squiggly line up and down, all right? There you go. Perfect, all right? To make that natural snow, right, coming down from the mountain. Okay, next I'm going to show you my handy dandy way to draw a tree. Are you ready? Okay, so this first hill, I'm going to clear just a little bit of space with my eraser. Ooh, just a little bit of space so I can draw my tree. All right, this is what I'm going to do with my tree. I'm going to start with my pencil right on this hill. I'm going to draw 1 line up. I'm going to go to the other side of that line over here and draw another line going up. Boop. I'm going to make a triangle, and you'll see that when I draw my tree branches, I kind of make them like a triangle that's coming out and kind of bending a little bit. So it's a triangle, but if I took a triangle and I kind of bent it a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start right here, go out and back in for that tree branch. And then I like to keep my the top of the tree pretty simple, so I'm going to go ahead and take my pencil and go around like the same shape you do with clouds. Boop. And there you got a tree. That tree is going to be a little bit bigger because it's in the front, right? And we noticed that in our picture. So the front tree is very big and this tree is very small. That's because the tree up front is really close to you, and things that are close to you look huge, right? Things that are far, far away from you look teeny tiny, right? So that's what we're creating right now, okay? So we've got the big tree, now we got to do the teeny tiny tree in the back. So draw the same thing, just draw it a lot smaller in the back, all right? So I'm going to pick this hill back here, right? And I'm going to go ahead with my pencil, draw a small line up, a small line up, a little bending triangle, and then that kind of cloud that's going around it, boop, in the background to make it look like a smaller tree in the back. Awesome. And that you have just drawn a landscape, my friend. I'm so proud of you. You did awesome. I saw that. That is beautiful. I love it. All right. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the seascape, okay? So that beautiful picture of the ocean. Wouldn't you like to be here? Look at that. That's beautiful. All right. So what we got to do first for the seascape, this is what we're going to do. Are you ready? Okay. We're going to start with our pencil, put it down here in this box, and go ahead and draw a line from this side of the paper to this side, to this line right here, I should say, in that box. There you go. All right, this is going to be what we call the horizon line, okay? So that's this line right here that the sunset is kind of sitting on. All right. I'm taking my pencil, start right here, and I'm going to draw a half a circle for that sun that's setting into the, it looks like it's setting into the ocean there. It's got that kind of effect where you're like, oh, the sun is setting, the sky is turning that beautiful red, orange, yellow shade there. Okay, so we've got our sunset ready, okay? Next, we're gonna go ahead and do the shore, okay? This is how we're gonna do the shore. I want you to look very closely at this. So when we're doing the shore, this sandy shore down here, you can see that I didn't make like a straight line across, because if you make a straight line across, right, for the shore, that's not really how sand looks, especially when the waves in the ocean are coming up to hit it, right? Okay, this is how what we're gonna do, right? Go ahead and start by making a line that's very wiggly, Maybe it's coming up a little bit. It's got those waves on it. All right. You know how when waves come up onto the ocean, there's a little bit of frothiness to that wave, all right? There's a little bit of that white foam, what we call, on it, all right? That's this part right here. It's really easy to make foam on your ocean waves. All you gotta do is, I'll take my pencil, and I'm gonna draw another little line on the inside of that line that I've just drawn to make that white foam. So I'm gonna remember, if you're coloring this in later, if you've got something at home that you wanna use to color in, right? Just remember that that's the white part. So you wanna color this in blue, and then this little line that's down here, you want that line to stay white for that frothy, foamy foam on the ocean wave. Look at that. All right, next, we're gonna go ahead and add some rocks, okay? So there's always a couple of like jagged kind of rocks on the beach. All right, I'm gonna start here over on this side and draw kind of a squiggly line going that way. And then another squiggly line on top of that. And then on the rocks, I usually like to add cracks in the rocks just to give them a little bit of that texture. And you guys have learned before with Miss Purdy that texture is making something look the way that it would feel, right? That would be that visual texture. So tactile texture is the texture you can touch. Like if you added like cotton balls to your picture and you felt them, that would be tactile texture. Visual texture is when you can look at something and say, oh, I see that the rocks that Ms. O'Neill has created have those lines in them, giving them that visual texture. All right, so I'm going to draw little lines coming down, like little cracks. There you go. Just get a few of those until you like them. There you go. It's okay to erase and try again. To say, you know what, I want to do a different thing, all right? But go ahead and get some until you're like, oh yes, maybe on the first try, maybe you're like, oh, yes, I nailed that. Good for me. Love it. All right. Get it till you like it, you know. Then we're going to add some of those waves for that visual texture. Okay. So we need to add those little waves in the ocean back here. All right. Those are super duper easy peasy. All we got to do is take our pencil and do a little jagged line, like a little zigzag line. Little zigzag lines. I always have a student that raises their hand and says, Ms. O'Neill, can I please add a shark fin into my seascape? And I'm like, if you want to be sneaky and add a little shark fin to your seascape, you go for it, friend. You go for it. So if you want to add a little triangle out here, and when you color in, you color that gray, you could be like, it's my little shark fin. All right. And then to finish off the drawing part of our seascape, I just like to add in the background because I think it looks very peaceful and nice when you do this. I always like to add the birds in the background. That's just the letter M because they're far away. Remember, you can see things better close up. You can see all the detail on it, right? But when it's far, far away, you can't see it that well. You're like, oh, I don't see all the detail on that. So what we're going to do is just to draw the letter M, lowercase letter M, in the background, make a couple birds flying around that sunset. It's beautiful. All right. When you're coloring that in, I often get this question. So whatever you're using, like I said, this is just a project where I'm just requiring, you know, if you want to do this project with me, just do the drawing. But if you have something at home that you want to color in with, go for it. That's how we've been working in the art room thus far. Has just been me telling you, you know, if you got anything to use to color in, do it. Enjoy the thing. All right. So I usually get the question, how did you create this kind of sunset look? So I usually, when we do this project, I usually give you guys paints, and what we do is I do like a layer of red first down here at this line, right above this line, and then I do orange, and I do this on purpose. Normally you would like wait till the layer dries and then you do another one, but I do this on purpose because I like the way it blends, because you kind of want that sky to blend, to melt into those other colors. So I actually immediately after I apply the red, apply the orange, and then I don't let the orange dry. I go ahead and I wash my brush and I get some yellow on it, and then I add like yellow up top, and that makes everything kind of blend together and look like it's melting. All right. I also, you'll notice that when you look at a sunset on the beach, on the ocean, you'll see, oh, like look, like this part right here, we can actually see the sun reflected in the water, right? It's easy peasy lemon squeezy to make that work. This is what you do, okay? Listen up, we got this. All right. to impress your friends, all right, about your awesome, you can make that reflection of the sun on the water, what you're going to do is you're going to put the layer of blue first, all right, and then you're going to put a little bit, wash out your brush and then put a little bit of yellow on your brush and just kind of melt a little bit. So I would just brush a little bit of yellow right under where the sun is and kind of let it melt together. And you'll see kind of, there's a little bit of greenish going there. Yeah. But that's kind of, it gives it that kind of look of like, oh, there's a little bit of a reflection coming up, all right? So try that out if you've got paints at home or, paints available to you. Try that out, see what you can make with that because it's a fun tip, a fun trick. If you're using something else, maybe you're using markers. Markers are really fun because when you're coloring in, I actually always show kids this trick. You can actually take markers, and if you add the marker and then you take, if you have just a cup of water and a paintbrush, you can just take one paintbrush, dip it in some water, and then put it on the marker and it turns the marker into paint, which is pretty cool. So you could use that as well, or you could just keep it as marker, that's fine. Or, you could do colored pencil and you can still do that reflection with colored pencil. You would just like color in the blue and then do a little bit of yellow right in there, and still kind of do that melting just with your colored pencils. So there are different ways to try and different tricks that you can try to make this work, right? All right, so that's how to do the seascape. Let's go ahead and move on to the cityscape. Yes, I like to always make my cityscape at night because I think it looks really pretty, all right? That kind of silhouette is what we call it, when you can only see all the buildings look really dark, and all we can see is the lighted windows and the stars and the moon. So we're going to go ahead and do our cityscape. All right, this one, you're going to love it because it's really just shapes, okay? This is going to be awesome. All right, you can impress your friends with this. All right, what you're going to do is you're going to take your pencil, okay? Right here, okay, on your box. This is the big boxes for the cityscape because we've got some tall skyscrapers coming in there, right? We got those tall buildings, all right, coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line going across this box, okay? All right. Next, I'm going to go ahead and put some shapes on it, all right? And a lot of these buildings, when you look at them, I've got some buildings that are more like square in shape, like this little one's more of a square, but I've got a lot of rectangles here, all right? So that's what we're really aiming for. We're looking for some nice tall rectangles. So I'm going to go ahead and add some rectangles. Don't stress about perfection. I hear that a lot in my art room, and you'll get to know me more, my third grade friends. But perfection is overrated, all right? I want to see what you can do, what you can make, okay? So just do your best, and whatever you make, it's going to be beautiful, all right? The things that make your artwork look cool, the things that make my artwork look cool is that I made it by hand, and that there's going to be some natural kind of mistakes that I've made, but they look really cool. It's my handiwork, okay? So, all right, you've got that first box. Go ahead and add another taller box. Boop. Rectangle, I should say. All right, and you'll see that on some of these I've actually connected them because cities oftentimes will have buildings, especially large cities will have buildings that are like right next to each other, right? So it looks like there's not even really a gap. So I'm going to add another box attached to this one, a smaller one. There we go. All right, now to make this point, I'm going to make this one into a skyscraper. This is what I'm going to do, okay? Watch carefully. I'm going to, on top of this, I'm going to start up here with my pencil. I'm going to go up, across, and down. On the next one, I'm going to go up, across, and down. See, I'm making long, skinny rectangles on top of my rectangle, okay? And then at this one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a long, thin triangle up and down. And when I color that in, that's going to look like my skyscraper right here. See that? Okay. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add a bunch of windows, all right, for that beautiful glow in the windows for the cityscape. So that's just a bunch of little boxes, a bunch of little squares, all right? Now, I will tell you, the trick in this project, and any of my third graders who have had me last year can tell you when we did this project, okay, one of the big tricks to this project, all right, is the more windows you put, even though it's kind of annoying to draw all those boxes, the more you do, the cooler it does look in the end if you've added a bunch of windows, because it looks more detailed, right? And we know, of course, we're third grade artists. You guys have worked with Miss Purdy before. You know that the more detail you put into a work of art, the better it looks. So the more time you spend on it is directly related to how good it looks, right? Those two go hand in hand, okay? So let's go ahead and get rocking, all right? I'm going to go ahead and draw some boxes. And you can do boxes, you can do rectangles. Windows come in many different sizes, shapes. But go ahead and add some windows to your buildings. Some people always want to add like a door. That's fine with me if you want to do that. I just usually tell you that it's going to be kind of hard to see because doors aren't lit up like windows are. So you probably wouldn't be able to see in a real cityscape. You wouldn't be able to like see a door or anything down there just because it's not lit up because we're in the nighttime in this picture. All right, but that's up to you. That's your artistic creativity, my professional artist friend. Or if you're just like, I'm just a new artist, I wanted to check out what you were doing, welcome! We're doing something cool. I hope you've joined us. Because it's fun to make some art. And like I said, now you can impress your friends with your awesome skills. There we go. With your awesome skills, you can go into a museum and say, oh, what's a beautiful seascape, and your friends will be like, oh my goodness, you are so smart, you know the things. Yes, you do, my friend. All right, so go ahead and do that. You've got some windows, they're beautiful. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and make that moon, okay? You can do moons because we know that the moon has different phases, right? There's crescent moons, full moons, all sorts of different waxing, waning moons, all that kind of thing, right? So I usually like to do the crescent moon just because I think it's kind of a fun shape. That's up to you. Maybe you want a full moon, all right? I'm gonna go ahead and draw a letter C, all right? And then double that line. And I've got my crescent moon. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of that visual texture like we talked about, where it looks like I want it to look the way it would feel. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of dots to my moon, maybe a couple little circles, kind of make it look like the craters on the moon, give it that rough and bumpy kind of texture. All right. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add some stars. So I always tell friends when we do this project, do stars the way that you want to do stars, all right? Some friends feel very strongly about how they like to draw stars, all right? Just draw some stars in your sky. So maybe you're a friend who's like, and I'm going to go ahead and use pink so you can see a little bit better. Here we go. All right, maybe you're a friend who's like, you know what? I like to make my stars by doing an X with a plus through it. Maybe that's you. Maybe that's where you live. You like to do that X with a plus. Or maybe you're one of the friends that's like, you know what, I like to do stars like this, where I go up, across, down, right? Maybe you like to do that. You can totally do that. That one, by the way, easy, quick trick that I always like to show friends. If you draw the star that way, all you gotta do is take your eraser and just erase the lines in the middle. And there you go. You got a nice legit star right there, okay? And then another way that some friends, and maybe you're in the group of people who's like, you know what? I like to do my stars like this. That's totally fine. You go ahead and do the cone, 2 cone, 3 cone, 4 cone, 5 cone, all right? That's up to you, all right? So go ahead and do stars whatever way you like to do stars, but do some stars in those skies. Beautiful. In that sky, I should say. Do some stars, whichever way you like to do them. All right, there you go. All right, when it's time to color in, if you're like, some of you might just say, like the drawing's enough for me, I'm good. But some of you might want to color in, or maybe you've got something at home that you want to use to color in. All right, go ahead and enjoy, color in. What I always like to show friends is don't forget that for the cityscape, I usually color in, and you could take your pencil and do this if you're just using a pencil. You can use a pencil and just color in, shade in all of the buildings that's around the windows. You can do that to give it that silhouette kind of look. Or if you've got, maybe you've got black paint at home, or a black marker or colored pencil. That could be something that you use. But that's up to you. It's the motto of the art room this year is use what you got. All right, so use whatever you got at home. All right, just the most important thing about this art project is that you have a fun time and that you learned something new about art. You learned your different vocab words, and now you've got a beautiful reminder that you can hang up at your place about what a landscape is, what a seascape is, what a cityscape is. All right, I am so proud of you. I bet it looks awesome. All right, on that flyer that I sent home that you used to scan the QR code to get here, all right, you can see at the bottom there's a little space where I've included where you can contact me if you've got any questions about this project, or if you want to show me this project. I would love to see your project. So there's my email address, and then you can also send me pictures of your art through Remind. But I love to see pictures of your art. If you have any questions about how to take a picture, boop, click. All right, a picture of your work of art and send it to me through email. Just reach out to me and ask. But I can't wait to see your beautiful works of art, my third grade friends, and I hope you enjoyed joining us in the art room today. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.